Teebs and KidPhoenix podcast is now partnered with Dubby Energy. Dubby is an energy drink powder that is different from the energy providers of the past, using all natural energy from ripe coffee cherries to provide natural energy with no sugar, no calories, no artificial coloring, and no maltodextrin. Each serving of Dubby contains about 2 cups of coffee worth of caffeine, but since Dubby's formula is sugar-free, you get energy and focus without those anxious, jittery, or wired feelings. Just mix 1 rounded scoop with 8 ounces of water and you're good to go. Unlike energy in a can, you have the ability to control how much goes in. Want to take it a little easier? Drop in a little less powder. You're in control. Listeners to our podcast can receive 10% off their order by using promo code Teebs at checkout. Try any one of Dubby's 15 unique flavors, including cherry blossom or Japanese soda today, and experience the difference.
Powered by Riverside.
Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. The street life used to be on. Straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right. Everything inside.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, here it is.
So about the other theme music.
Almighty. Again with this.
Can I listen?
This is 4 podcasts in a row.
Wait a minute. This is good. It's really starting to grow on me. Can I pick it up somewhere? Is there anywhere? Can I get it on disc? Can I get physical media? That'd be great. Because I have a vehicle that doesn't have like a port for the phone or anything, and I really would like a disc, so I can. All right, fine.
No, keep going. Belabor this point. Keep going. It's only a month's worth of podcast you've been doing this. It is the Teebs and KidPhoenix versus podcast, and we have a special recording this week. It is a podcast I've been personally dreading for quite some time, but we have to do it because we love anniversaries on this podcast.
We do love anniversaries.
2001 was a very special year for several franchises. Fast and Furious, which we did last week. We have a Lord of the Rings John coming later on in the year.
Oh, that's going to be a real barn burner.
We have 24, which is a personal favorite of mine that Teebs has agreed to off camera. But this one, look, it's a great franchise, but with the stuff around it. I'll just put it that way. It's the Harry Potter franchise, and it's the Teebs and KidPhoenix versus Harry Potter 25th anniversary. And we could not do this podcast on our own. We could, but it wouldn't be that fun. It wouldn't be that fun.
Yeah, no.
So we brought in a specialist, and in fact, it's somebody that listeners of this podcast should be familiar with because she was behind the creation for one of our topics, the Summer of Sequels. See, this is what happens when you email the show with your ideas. We ask you to be on the podcast to discuss those ideas. So artist, performer, writer, Sarah DeLeon, aka Sweets, is on the podcast joining us today for this Harry Potter podcast. Sarah, how are you doing today?
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm doing very well. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking about one of my favorite franchises. I cannot believe it is turning 25. Or at least the first movie.
And we both feel old as the years keep going because A, that's how time works, and B, that's just reminiscing about things that came out, when I was 4 years into my alcoholism. Okay. Now, when we talk about Harry Potter, of course, we have to, and I feel like we should just start with this. We have to acknowledge the fact that KidPhoenix, do not support J.K. Rowling's transphobic views and comments. I'm sure that extends to Teebs and Sweets as well.
100%.
Is there anything else that we need to... Do we need to expand on that anymore before we continue? Sarah, I'm going to start with you.
I don't think so. I think just a blanket, we don't support J.K. Rowling's transphobic comments, but we're happy to talk about the franchise as it stands. Unfortunately, it has become a trigger to some people. So if talking about Harry Potter is something that makes you sad now, this is probably not the podcast for you.
And I'll be sure to put that in the description of the podcast where, like, yes, we will be talking about Harry Potter. We will touch on J.K. Rowling in the beginning just to acknowledge our levels of distaste for that person. But it's not going to be like, we're not going to go on for like 10, 15 minutes on J.K. Rowling because honestly, she's not worth my energy.
Say,
I would need to say one thing.
Afraid.
Don't be afraid. It's really unfortunate that Rowling has these views because if she didn't, there's so many possibilities within the Harry Potter verse. Okay, so for example, all boys dorm, Polydeus potion. This writes itself, folks.
God damn it! I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
I don't have
I knew
to.
it.
It's really unfortunate.
6 minutes. 6 minutes into the podcast, and he's driven this thing off the rails. Damn it. I don't know if that's a personal record, but it's pretty damn quick. What I will say is this, and
it's Harry Potter and the gender dysphoria. That's what it is. So no, I don't know. That might be a little too far. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pull it back. I'm gonna pull it back.
Please, I just want you to know I'm cutting all of that out in post. Like, I'm cutting all of that out.
You are not. That is not happening.
With good conscience, I cannot leave that in.
Come on. Okay, fine. Then that just means I got to get started on my fanfic. Then
I'll ask this question to the both of you based on what Teebs was just saying about like how Rowling's views and comments almost derailed what could have been a really great franchise with an incredible universe. Without J.K. Rowling's views, does this franchise rival the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Is that something that could be, in 2026, we're still getting on Harry Potter movies, playing Harry Potter video games?
I mean, we are. We're still playing Harry Potter video games. We're getting a series. It spawned like 2 separate movie series.
But Sarah, you know what I mean? Like, is it something that is even more positively recepted as, for example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
That's an interesting comparison I haven't heard. I want to say yes, without the controversy, it definitely could have kept evolving into something. I mean, for comparing apples and oranges, they also have like a theme park unit and they have, lots of spin-offs, and now they're venturing into television, and they're already, like Tiva mentioned, they're already doing a reboot. So yeah, I feel like had J.K. Rowling kept her mouth shut.
Seriously, just keep your mouth shut and keep counting money. Keep your mouth shut and keep counting money. Like, what is the problem?
Then yes, no, I do think that it could have been just as popular, if not more so, for posterity.
Keep your mouth shut and stay off the Twitter, like, for the love of God. All right, let's just ask this. Let's keep going. Do we all know what house we're in?
Oh, I absolutely do.
Do you? Because I have a question.
I know what house I'm in because I don't. Yes, I did. Part of the homework was I did one of the silly like Harry Potter house quizzes. I did the one on HarryPotter.com.
You don't need that. That's like ridiculous. That's way too much of your time trying to figure that out.
It was all of like 5 minutes, and I am securely locked in Hufflepuff.
Okay, and we will see about that.
I don't know. I feel like that kind of tracks for me. Sarah, what house were you ceremonied into?
I am positively a Gryffindor. In fact, my last name even means of the lion in Spanish.
Nice.
Yeah, I have the word courage tattooed on my elbow. You guys.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, but our audiences at home can't.
Oh, the video goes to YouTube. They'll see it.
Oh, perfect. So then, if you're watching on YouTube, I got courage on my arm here, and it's I don't know. Gryffindor's always spoken to me. I mean, heck, even my high school colors were scarlet and gold, so I just was
Nice.
meant to be a Gryffindor. What about you, Atiba?
So Teebs,
See,
Ravenclaw.
do I look like a Ravenclaw to you? Do I look like, is my nose in a book right now? Is that what's
Doing that.
happening?
I mean, it. Well, actually, no. Teebs has that evil Slytherin vibe
What are
to
we
him
saying?
sometimes.
What are we even doing right now? Okay, listen, if you want to get to the bottom of this, if you really want to know what house you are in,
Oh God.
you only have to answer one question. And this is the locked door question. It's the greatest question I've ever heard for figuring out what house you should be sorted into. You
Oh,
come to
Lord.
a door, it's locked. You have to get in that room. What do? A Dio.
I knock on the door.
Sarah.
I try very, very, very hard to just get through the door.
What does that mean?
You just passed it.
You're gonna smash the door down?
Okay, so hold on, Sarah. There's two ways to do this. You can do it with a strength-based check, or
Sorry,
you
those
can
are
try to
two
pick the
separate
lock.
things.
You
So,
can try to pick the
Sarah, what are
lock
we
with a
doing?
dexterity
Are
check.
we knocking down the door or are we picking the lock?
I'm trying to push past the door. Yes, which I
All
have
right.
done several times in real life.
That sounds
So,
strength-based to me.
yeah, so I also would knock down the door. So, yes, in fact, Dio is a Hufflepuff and we are both Gryffindors.
Sorry. I don't know
If
what's
you,
going on behind the door. Like, I don't want to just like kick it in and somebody's doing stuff, and I don't want to be rude.
if,
Also, that's somebody's
okay,
property.
what a Hufflepuff thing to say. If you, if you go to search for the key, you are a Ravenclaw. And if you try to pick the lock, you are a Slytherin.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. Okay, see now that's okay. That should just be the quiz. Like from forever and eternity. That's the quiz right there.
I love that
Let me
question. It's a
just
great question.
let's just get into our familiarity with the Harry Potter franchise. And it's not one that I personally go back to and rewatch on a daily basis or even like a consistent basis like I would with like MCU stuff or the Snyderverse or whatever.
Would you, okay, never,
Don't start with me.
no starting.
For me, the first Harry Potter movie came out when I was 21 years old. And this is why I had kind of a disconnect with the franchise, is the simple fact that I just felt that this franchise wasn't necessarily geared to me as a 21-year-old adult, if that makes sense. Especially when I knew I had Lord of the Rings coming later on. I felt that with the epic, intense battles and all like that, that was more my wheelhouse. That was more for me. I do understand what Harry Potter has meant to like children and then those children growing up, but for me, Harry Potter just wasn't. I just didn't feel like it was for me, essentially, because I felt like I was too old.
That's valid. Yeah.
So that's just my take and my familiarity with the franchise.
Yeah, I think, Sarah, you might be the only person who's really grown up with this franchise because I was also already a full-grown adult when this series came out, and it was touted as being a child series, so it took me a while to get into it. But once I started watching the movies, I was like, hey, wait a minute, there's real adult stuff in here. Like, this stuff is pretty deep. So I got into it. Like, I generally, if I try to avoid watching them because if I see one of them, I gotta watch all of it. Like, it's really bad. It's really like if I come in the middle of Chamber, I'm not gonna stop until we get all the way to Deathly Hallows too. Like, and I just get sucked in. So yeah, I have no familiarity with the books. I did not read any of the books. I only know the movies. I do like the movies. I do like the franchise as a whole. And yeah, that's my familiarity. Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely was lucky enough to be able to grow up with it. I consider it to be my nerd awakening, frankly.
Oh,
It was like the first major fantasy series I read, and then I did everything from that point. I went to all of like the book premieres when that was still a thing. I went to all the midnight movie premieres when that was still a thing. I wrote that was actually the how I got into writing. I started writing fanfic.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's and whole friendships were based off of Harry Potter for me, and so it was a huge part of growing up. And I do find that a lot of adults, not only was it accessible, I guess, to children, but as the books continued, as the movies continued, and adults who got into it with their kids or their younger siblings or something, I find that a lot of people echo the same thoughts as a teen, where like at first they're like, oh, it's the children's book, but then as they get older and as the movies matured and the source material matured as well, a lot of people are like, wow, there's actually something, really to this fantasy series. So that's what I love about Harry Potter, is that it was just so universally beloved in that way, that like, yes, it was meant for children, but it kind of grew to be a lot more.
And
Love it.
Sarah, you referenced both the books and the movies. I always love to ask this question. What is your experience between the books and the movies? What's your feeling between the two mediums?
I think as far as book to movie adaptations go, especially for long form franchises like this, I think they did a pretty good job. I actually, in preparation for this podcast, did some research on the things that they had to cut out of the books, and I like, as somebody that has some filmmaking experience behind me now, I see why they took the parts out that they did. And don't get me wrong, there are definitely moments or maybe like character things that I wish could have been expanded upon a little more. But overall, I think all four directors did a pretty good job of getting to the meat of the movies, sorry, the heart of the stories were still in the movies, and that's what was important to me. So yeah, I liked it as far as adaptations go.
Let's just get into the Sorcerer Stone. Let's just wield
Sure.
this thing. I do agree with something that Sarah wrote in kind of the notes that she thankfully gave both me and Teebs. It is the most child friendly of the films. As this series progresses, things get a lot darker, and
So
I
does
don't want.
life.
Well, yeah, true, but up darker and like not necessarily like more complicated, but I'll say like more complex with all the things that are going on between Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. Like a there's a incredible tonal shift between the lightheartedness of the first one and the slightly darker mood than the first. And as both of you rewatched this movie way more than I have, but like, how important is that kind of tonal shift between the first and the second book? And did they pull it off pretty damn well?
I don't know that I mean, listen, there's a tonal shift between the first and the second movie, but the big tonal shift is between the second and the third movie. And like, before we get into tonal shifts and everything like that, like, should we kind of just talk about, um, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about, you know, does the first movie have the most, childlike sense of awe and wonder about it? I think that's true. I think that the second movie also has that a lot, but in the second movie, you start to get the hint or the idea. Well, even in the first movie, you get the hint, you get the idea that, the adults might not always have the kids' best interests at heart. And that's like doubled down on in the second movie. But
Right.
I still
And
think that the wonder is there, and the wonder is there throughout the series. Like, there's things that are wondrous in every installment of this franchise. However, the first movie, as the world, as the wizarding world and everything is being unveiled to you, like just the moments of, at the station and then going to Diagon Alley for the first time and then seeing Hogwarts for the first time. Like, all of that, I think, is kind of really, and especially for people who are book readers, seeing all that stuff visualized on the big screen,
right.
I think that kind of makes the first movie was the toughest one to do, because the first movie had to stick everything. It had to nail all the casting, which I think it did. I don't think enough is talked about the incredible casting job that they did in this movie, not just with all the supporting characters, but the kids, to find kids that would eventually have the range to go on that journey and turn into what they turned into. That was an incredible casting job, but also incredible job by Chris Columbus on just like adapting this, because it could have very easily gone too far one way or another, but I think he did everything just right to make sure that that sense of wonder was preserved, and that even though there's all this stuff happening, the story still comes down to being about these three characters and the kind of the bond that they forge together, which is just kind of reiterated in Chamber as, the whole plot starts to unravel a little bit. But the wonder is still there. Sarah, what do you think about Chamber versus Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone?
Well, Sorcerer's Stone definitely served as you had touched on, just an amazing introduction to the world. I mean, I can still picture all of this, especially the introduction to Diagon Alley and when Harry stepped into the Great Hall for the first time. Like those, I mean, those moments make me tear up. Like that is just solid, movie magic to me. The tough thing about looking back at all of the Harry Potter saga is you realize that the first movie is Harry finally finding a true family, and books and movies 2 through 7 is him coming to terms with the fact that he now has to die for them, which is really sad and really heavy, especially for a faith
Heavy for an 11-year-old kid.
on a 12-year-old, but that's really the truth. So there is kind of a huge tonal shift. I mean, yes, between the second and the third, as you had mentioned. I'm sure we'll talk about the director changes, but simply just of the fact that, the first movies are like, welcome to this world, Harry. And then all of the other films after that is like, but here's the thing, you're our savior and you gotta die.
Yeah. Harry, welcome to this place. Live it up. You're only going to be here for about 6 years. So get it all in now, buddy.
So we've talked about the casting. Teebs brought it up. And I want to put this to Sarah first, and Teebs, you can also add on. You have Daniel Radcliffe, you have Rupert Grint, you have Emma Watson. How important was it that, one, these three kids were all unknowns, number one. Number two, it's beneficial, I think, that all three of these kids came in together and they grew with the role. Like, they didn't have to change actors midway because it wasn't working. Like, they were able to grow into these roles and then grow age-wise with the movies as they kept getting sequels. I think that was an incredibly, just like Steve said, I think it was an incredibly inspired choice. One, go with unknowns and not like kids from like, the Disney Channel or whatever the hell. But like that adds something to this franchise.
Yeah, I think that allows you to not have any prior baggage with any of these actors as they take on the roles. Because even with Lord of the Ring, I think would Samwise work as well if it wasn't Mikey from Goonies in there? I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know. But since it is Mikey from Goonies, we know exactly what he's all about. And when he starts giving these inspirational speeches, we're just like, oh yeah, that's what he does. That's
what he does. That's his thing.
But for Harry Potter, I think it was good that they had the chance to grow into these characters and really figure out who they were, figure out who the characters were. And I think this franchise definitely benefited from all that.
As we have pointed out, Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone, whatever, and Chamber's
Actually, hold on. So the book is called Philosopher's Stone in England, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The movie is called The Sorcerer's Stone, but it's the Sorcerer's Stone everywhere. The movie is.
I believe so.
Okay, just making sure.
So the first two movies, directed by Chris Columbus, Prisoner of Azkaban, directed by Alfonso Cuarón, Goblet of Fire, directed by Mike Newell, followed by David Yates, who did the last four?
Last four.
Yeah. All right. So, let's get into this. Let's get into these a little bit.
how do we feel about multiple directors in this franchise? Because
Well,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Listen, it is no secret that Teebs and I very much enjoyed The Last Jedi, even though some of the other Star Wars nerds don't necessarily rank it as high as we do.
Can we have one podcast where we
No,
don't
we
talk
can't.
about Star Wars, please?
Sometimes it works, and then sometimes it doesn't. Like Sarah, when you go from this like childlike wonderment of the first two movies directed by Chris Columbus, and then you switch to in Prisoner of Azkaban, you move to Alfonso Cuarón. Like, what did you feel, seeing as how you're the one that has probably watched this movie more times than either me or Teebs? What was your feeling about when you walked out of the movie theater? You're just like, that was blank.
I will say it was a little jarring at first because there was a huge visual difference between the second movie and the third one. And also the third one, Alfonso, he really played around with what he would get away with visually, and he even, changed the dress code. So it was the first time that we saw the kids in street clothing that wasn't just their school uniforms, to the point where it's even on the poster. And I didn't hate it, but it definitely did kind of shift gears a little bit, saying like, yeah, these movies are getting a little darker as the kids get older. And they consistently get darker as the kids get older. So, I mean, to say that the films grew up with the children is not an understatement. Like, that is truly kind of like the visual energy that I think all directors that, after Christopher Columbus caught, was just that maturity, I suppose. And it wasn't just the directors too. I mean, they changed the score. The score is listed a lot as between the, I mean, the first couple movies, I think John Williams did the score. They kind of shifted throughout, so it's like everything changed about these movies, and it just added a different level to it, I think, which is nice because not all movies felt the same. They definitely each had their own flavor, which I appreciated.
Yeah, this is
there
kind of
anybody
one of the.
not?
Sorry.
Sorry.
This is kind of the issue that we have with the MCU. It's that all the movies, even though they have different directors, they all feel so samey because they kind of shoot in the same places. They kind of have the same kind of writing pattern to all of them.
They have the same tone. They have the same kind of like visual vibe almost.
Kind of color grading. So I think it's good that we have different artists that are bringing different visual ideas to the table. I actually really like Prisoner a lot. It's not my favorite, but it's like up there. It's like number 2.
Prisoner is definitely the one where when I saw it for the first time, I was just like, oh, okay. It's go time now. All right.
In Prison. Sorry, go ahead.
Terrifying. Yeah. Like that gave me nightmares.
Yeah, the stakes really, like, you're playing with real stakes in Prisoner.
Right.
Like, Prisoner is the first movie where you're like, oh, this is serious. This just isn't kids poking around and like doing Scooby-Doo mysteries. Like, this is really real stuff happening.
Gary Oldman as Sirius Black, like, I'm just eating that up the whole damn movie. I'm just like, Dad, give more of that.
Did I ever tell you that I considered for a long time starting a rap career and using Sirius Black as my rap name? I really considered that. That almost happened for a while.
SIR or SER?
SYR.
Okay.
Is what I would have went.
Of course, you go way outside the box. One thing I just want to touch real quick again on like some of the visual elements of the first film. And this goes to like my favorite scene in Sorcerer's Stone. The first Quidditch match. That is just like visually impressive to me for whatever reason. Like you have all these kids like flying around on broomsticks. You have the beaters, you have Harry going after the golden snitch, I think it was called. In 2001, we had visual effects from movies like The Matrix or from like the prequel trilogy. And it was just those kinds of scenes where I never really got the like, oh my god, this is fucking fantastic. I didn't get that until maybe like The Matrix, because again, like the first couple Star Wars movies, like I was young as hell when they came out, and then the sequel trilogy came out, and like that was visually okay in a movie of
Wow.
Star Wars, but
Wow.
there was
Jurassic Park. Go to hell.
I was 13 years old when Jurassic Park came out, and
Yeah, exactly the right time
I
to be watching
wasn't,
that movie.
listen, I wasn't the biggest fan of dinosaurs growing up, all right? I was just like, oh, all right, dinosaurs,
Everybody's the
cool.
biggest fan of dinosaurs. I don't care who you are.
All right,
What?
dinosaurs, cool. What's the next chapter in the biology book? Let's just keep going. I want
Right.
to learn about algae and amoebas. Let's go.
All right.
But yeah, the first Quidditch scene and how it's kind of like a combination of like football and rugby and basketball. Like there's just so much going on. I just love that
Can I
scene
just make a
so
quick
much.
point about rugby? I mean about Quidditch. This point also extends to rugby, but for Quidditch specifically, really tough sport to watch live. I'm gonna say,
Yeah,
really a hard time following what's happening. Don't know where the snitch is, don't know where the other balls are, like, I'm not really sure on the rules, not even sure how far the play field extends, like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a sport that would really, really benefit from television, I think.
Now, Sarah, what they would do is it would be on the Fox network, and then the golden snitch would be like completely highlighted so that everybody can see it on screen.
I'd watch that.
So we're moving to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, or as I call it, Harry Potter and the weird hairstyle choices.
Jesus. So I have a note here. Apparently, this is your favorite. This is your number one.
But Goblet is my favorite movie because Goblet is two reasons. Number one, Goblet is I talked about how the stakes are getting raised. And Goblet, like that whole crescendoing of, Voldemort's coming back. Spoilers, just in case for a 25-year-old movie.
No, we're not doing that. No. This movie is 25 years old. We don't need a spoiler alert, okay? Like, no.
Voldemort is coming back. Cedric Diggory bites it.
Voldemort comes back. Dumbledore dies. Like, we all know this, okay?
I'm sad that Cedric Diggory had to die, but I'm glad that Edward Cullen died. That really made me feel. I watched that a couple times, all the time. But
Teebs just hates Edward Cullen.
But yeah, that I love a good competition situation. Like kids are starting to get jealous. They're dating. Like the Vila are there.
Yeah. All right, hang on. Let me clear out for Sarah real quick because there's another note here that I was not aware of. Hungarian Horntail was created with both practical and CGI effects.
Yeah, so
I had no idea.
Actually, so a lot of, especially the earlier Harry Potter films, were kind of like joint practical and CGI, kind of, which I love. For a filmmaking standpoint, of the viewer, just the fact that practical effects aren't being utilized as much in filmmaking as CGI nowadays. So yeah, it's really cool. They kind of, if I remember correctly, they kind of like had like a puppet almost. So like they CGI'd the body and like some of the, obviously the flying and the movements, but any of the like closer interactions that Harry had with the Hungarian Horntail, it was a lot of it was practical, and they built that. Along with a lot of these sets, which was incredible. And yeah, it was as I was doing research, and I learned just how much detail orientation the production designers put in every single still of all of these movies. It's incredible. So kudos to the entire creative directing team for all of the Harry Potter films, because way more work went into them than I was even able to appreciate as I was a kid.
Now, as a filmmaker, like you said, as a filmmaker and a fan of this franchise, is there something to be said where it's just like practical effects that you like build from scratch? It kind of adds to fantasy movies like this.
It 100% does. And I don't think enough people realize that. Have you guys seen the documentary Light and it's either Light and Magic or Light and Sound? The one where that talks about the visual effect team that George Lucas worked with. Yes. So what I realized that's captured when you do practical effects, and I actually worked on a film in which we did a huge giant practical effect for a giant man-eating monster, is
Nice.
that one, the actors actually have something to work with. They could see it. They're not just running around on a green screen, touching people, or like touching things in green cover, right? Like they're actually interacting with something, even if it's just a puppet and they know it's a puppet, right? It's like, as someone who's been in that shoes, it's still nice to have something there. And also it adds to the magic of it. And I think it brings a creative team together, after working so hard on something, it doesn't feel phoned in like some visual effects that you see nowadays where it's like, we're so used to CGI. We see, it's like we could do anything on the screen now, to the point where movies have stopped becoming a little magical in a weird way because we take for granted that we could just do anything now. Whereas with practical effects, it was like there's that added layer of artistry that I think it just spills into the magic of the movie. So with fantasy specifically, I think that it really helps buy into that world. The actors and the creative team, and I truly feel like the energy that goes into that, it leaks into the movie and the audience that's content.
And to that point and to that effect, like I feel like if there is immersion between the actors and the effects team or the practical usages of these effects on camera, like on the set, like that definitely leaks into the audience, and in a way you kind of feel it a little bit more.
100%. Yeah. And I would say that that's almost even like the magical difference between, the first Star Wars trilogies and even some of the later ones, is that like, man, they work so hard for a lot of those effects, and you feel it. You feel it in that crew and that team and those actors.
Listen, Hollywood's just trying to put AI into everything. I'm just like, yo, human element is important.
100.
As we've seen the last, we were making transcendent film before AI. Like, why do we need to push for this now? Other things that I almost want to let Teebs clear out some more for Goblet of Fire. I feel like I didn't let him, even though this is his favorite. Like, I feel like I need to can we just get an ISO for Teebs for Goblet of Fire real quick?
Listen, I feel like I said everything I had to say for Goblet. Shout out to David Tennant.
Shout out David Tennant.
But yeah, I do think the reason that I like it is the pivotal moment where, okay, this is not this is not a childhood situation anymore. This is life and death. This is really what that is. And the next movie kind of deals with how they deal with the ramifications of that. And
now I gotta clear out for Sarah, because this is her favorite film in the saga.
Yeah.
So ISO for Sarah.
Really quickly, yeah, it's Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, or I like to call it.
Here we go. Do you have subtitles for everyone?
Harry Potter and the whiny teenage issues. But
hey, no, that's more the
hold on, Sarah. Hold on, Sarah. I need to do something real quick. The Teebs and KidPhoenix podcast apologizes and appreciates teenagers, and they're going through puberty, and we support you guys as you go through adolescence and learning about yourselves. Okay, Sarah, continue.
So Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, for me, it's impressive for a lot of reasons. I guess, so the first one is that it's David Yates' first time at bat directing. So, Mike Newell moved on. So now we have the fourth and final director kind of running, and you can tell that he's passionate, and he's building off of the success of the other four, but there's something like very earnest about the fifth movie. And yeah, like jumping off of what Atiba had said earlier, the kids are dealing with this grief and this knowledge that Voldemort, or he who must not be named, yes, Voldemort is back in full form, played by the wonderful Ralph Fiennes. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes.
Thank you.
No one really knows.
It's like so the fifth one, yes, there is a little bit of teenage drama, including the first time that Daniel Radcliffe has to kiss a girl on screen, which is a huge deal on set. But we meet Luna Lovegood, who is such a lovable character. We get to see Harry happy with his godfather. It's not lasting. We saw a little bit of Sirius Black in the fourth movie. You know, he was there, but he wasn't. The fifth movie, it's like, yeah, I don't have to say spoiler alerts. What am I saying? It's like we know going into it that it's going to be his last, and so it's just like a very like touching kind of growing up film for Harry in a way. I mean, he loses his godfather that he just barely had for a film and a half, but he also, yeah, he experiments with his hair. He kisses a girl.
All
And-
those things that teenagers do.
And he also leads an entire army of students who are willing to fight the power, and the inner hippie in me loved that. I loved it in the books when I read it, and I loved seeing it. I loved the rebellion. I loved the rebellion against this probably one of the most notorious villains, by the way, and the most notorious the characters. I mean, Dolores Umbridge was phenomenal. The actress that they chose, the character in herself, absolutely.
Dame Imelda Staunton, I think her name was.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many great things about the fifth movie. But yeah, I think it's just so inspiring watching Harry grow up and lead his own team that will eventually, help him ultimately fight in the Battle of Hogwarts in a couple of movies and books later. And it's I don't know, it's a very heartwarming film for me. And it's the longest book, one of the shortest movies, but still holds up as a great adaptation. The things that they cut out were fine, and they kept everything that they needed to, and it was a great book. It was a great movie as a result of it.
I found that interesting to learn as well, that it was the longest book, but one of the shorter movies. And I'm wondering, being somebody that's done both, read the movies, read the books, and watched the movies, did that kind of take away from anything? Or, as you said, was the adaptation not good enough, but you know what I mean?
If anything, there was just, if I remember correctly, there was supposed to be just more information on Sirius Black, his like kind of homestead, that we see very briefly, and also his house elf, whose name I am Miss Tiva. Do you remember Crookshanks? Am I getting that right?
That sounds, well, again, I never read the books, but
I'm bad with names. But yeah, there was supposed to be a little bit more about, his backstory. And honestly, like, given everything, I think everything that they chose to keep was fine. I probably would have made similar, if not the same exact choices, had I been the one writing the screenplay. So.
Now, Teebs, I do have a question for you related to that, because one of our bigger disagreements has to do with the movie Aliens, and how I personally love the extended cut, but you prefer the theatrical cut, and how, we don't need those extra scenes with like
the extra scenes functionally ruin the movie. We don't need. Okay, they were cut for a good reason. One of them, a couple of them needed to be left in, but I can see why they took them out for time. But like, I don't want to. I can't get into this again. But
to Sarah's point, like, much of what was cut out, if I'm understanding this correctly, was more like contextual things.
For Harry Potter.
Yeah.
The fifth movie. Yes. Yeah. A lot of it was, I mean, it wasn't integral to the story. It was just added world building that yeah, like it could have been put in, and I'm sure the new TV adaptation is going to try to make right on a lot of the details that the books or that the movies couldn't get. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, especially for the fifth movie, I can't say the same thing for the sixth. The sixth movie is one of the ones people complain about the most. In terms of book to movie adaptations. But for the fifth one, I think that they kept what was important, and that's mattered.
Now we get to Half-Blood Prince.
Yes.
or as I like to call it.
Oh, God.
I want an entire list on your socials.
Yeah, we're
Harry
going to
Potter
need the
and
list for
what
socials.
Teebs would like to call it.
We're going to need the list for socials, Teebs.
Harry Potter and the long, comfortable nap, because I don't know that I've ever seen this movie from beginning to end in one sitting.
Well, this is the one.
I don't know that has ever happened.
In 2009, this was the movie that broke box office records at the time for an opening weekend.
It did.
Yeah.
This is not impressed.
Well, Batman Forever held that title for a very long time.
Wow. Hey, don't knock Batman Forever. I
love
absolutely
Batman Forever.
knock Batman Forever. Are you kidding me?
But
I will knock
biggest
anything
opening
and
of all
everything
time?
having to do with Joel Schumacher and Michael Bay. I will knock everything, with the exception of the Bad Boys franchise. That's it.
I am of the opinion that the Schumacher Batman films really deserve a critical rewatch, because I think there's a lot in there.
We can get to that later.
We can get to that. I'm not slamming Batman Forever. I'm just saying, of all the movies you would consider to have the highest opening ever, Batman Forever is not one that I would immediately reach for.
Okay, so...
Oh, actually, sorry. I'm wrong. I think that probably beats Spider-Man 2 for biggest openings.
So, Sarah, one thing that Teeb noted in the 5th movie, Order of the Phoenix, it was just like teenage adolescent. What is it? What is Order of the Phoenix called? As you like to call it, Order of the Phoenix?
Whiny ass teenage angst.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that's the 6th one.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's ask that question. Let's ask that question, Sarah. Is Half-Blood Prince basically an extension of the teenage angst? And you even commented there are a lot of complaints about that.
There's a lot. So essentially, Ron and Harry they fight for the first time in the whole story. You know,
sometimes best friends squabble, man. That just happens.
It's a solid plot point, but it is a plot point that's also in the middle of a lot of like Rupert Grint is in a love triangle at some point between Lavender Brown and Romola Vane, and let's see, there's what else? I'm blanking on something else that's going on there. It's pretty much the whole 6th movie, and even the books when I was reading it, because you're really, it's a lot of it is like a flashback, because you're learning about Voldemort's past, you're learning a little bit about Snape's past, and then that's all intermingled with, you know, Harry, Ron, and Hermione going through, you know, whatever, like, angsty teenage stuff that 16-year-olds get into. And then at the very end, it all is into this giant culmination of, like, oh, and by the way, we're going to search for Horcrux, and then, super spoiler alert, that Snape kills Dumbledore. And that's pretty much all you need to get. Like, you could actually watch these movies, but then skip to the last 45 minutes of the 6th movie.
Wow.
You'll be able to understand everything else that's going on. Because otherwise, Harry, Hermione, and Ron just have a normal school year. And then at the very end, Harry goes on a huge quest with Dumbledore, and then they kill a Horcrux, and then it's pretty much like a launch pad for the final installments. So the 6th movie, I think, is just kind of like, it's just leading up to the 7th. And then they kind of, like, you know, for drama's sake, because why not? Because they're teenagers, they throw in a lot of, like, you know, teenage whatever. And so that's why, you know, a lot of people were like, why didn't we learn more about Voldemort's past? It was like a thing. And instead they were focusing on all of this teenage nonsense.
I'll be honest, I shed a tear when Dumbledore died.
Well, who doesn't?
I cried a little bit. It was the first time I cried in a movie since the death of Optimus Prime, but, you know, shit happens.
Wait, funny story. I remember reading that people pissed off other people in line by just going through and screaming at every, like, movie and book. When the book premiered, they would just start screaming, "Snape killed Dumbledore!" at the top of their lungs, just to piss people off.
No, I'm sorry. That is a punchable offense. Like, I'm sorry.
It absolutely is. But yeah,
coming out, like somebody's coming out of the theater, you're getting ready to go in, just like somebody does that. No, I'm sorry. Like I'm shoving you into the popcorn machine. That's what's happening.
I mean, that's like going into the Star Wars movie and completely ruining that for someone.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine in 1983, you're going in to see Empire Strikes Back?
Try again.
80? 80? Okay. In 1980, sorry. If you're coming out, if somebody's coming out of Empire Strikes Back and they're just like, Darth Vader's Luke's father, like Teebs, like I would imagine Teebs, your reaction would be like baseball bat.
My reaction would be lies. These are total lies. I'm not believing any of these lies.
Fake news.
But yeah. So yes, I think that's exactly right, Sarah, because there's so much of this movie, the important stuff is backloaded that like 20 minutes into this movie, I'm unconscious and then I wake up for the big scene. And then I'm ready to get into some Deathly Hallows.
Okay, so I just wanted to look something up real quick. In 2009, I feel like Twitter and social media wasn't what it is now.
No.
Is it possible for something like Dumbledore's death to like be able to like stay off of social media for I'll say half an hour
before it's today?
Before it's completely spoiled by some rando idiot.
No, there have been movies that were released recently that had those kind of big twists in them that I think people were pretty good about holding on to, you know?
Just exercise decorum, folks, okay? Like, whatever happens in Dune 3, keep it to yourself until I see it, okay?
Oh, I know what happens in Dune 3. I'm all Duned up. I'm ready to go.
You read the books.
Let's Dune it up.
All right, so now we get to
So you'll never...
Also, real quick,
like I told the Dio, if you like Dune 1 and 2, the only thing that I can tell you about Dune 3 is here is where things really start to get weird.
It's not, and I said it's not weird already. Real quick, last thing about Half-Blood Prince. Props to Maggie Smith, just working. She filmed this movie while ongoing cancer treatments. She was getting cancer treatments and doing this movie, man.
And not just like bit parts, like seriously, like the emotional core of the story.
The emotional heart of the goddamn story. Maggie Smith was like, nah, I got to do this. I got to stay in here. We finally get to Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2.
I really don't have an alternate title for this one except...
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Except, hey, Ron, stop being a fucking wiener.
This is Teebs. See, Teebs, this is why I think you would be Slytherin, because you would be the bully picking on Ron Weasley and Harry Potter.
I need to go back on this. This is the second time that you've alluded to Slytherins all just being evil, which even though that is a joke, and it is rightfully so, because I do make a point to say that all evil wizards did come from Slytherin.
I'm sorry, Draco Malfoy is an asshole. Like, I don't care what anybody says.
On behalf of all Slytherins,
he earned that black and green cape. God damn it, he earned that shit.
Draco, yes, but not all Slytherins are evil. Just a lot of them can be.
You're right.
I'm dominating trait.
You're right. I'm stereotyping. We don't do that on this podcast. I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure that that's good. Like, if somebody says they're a Slytherin, that doesn't mean they're evil per se. It just means that they're capable of it because they're ambitious.
Sarah, your house, the house logo is a snake. Okay, I don't trust that. Like, I'm sorry, that's just me. Snakes, green
the
colors.
Teebs and KidPhoenix podcast would like to apologize for
we apologize.
KidPhoenix's slanderous remarks about South Slytherin and
snakes.
And snakes, and we would just like to assure you that this podcast is welcoming of wizards from all houses.
This movie was important because it's the first and only time we see Hermione's Muggle life and parents, which I thought was an interesting twist.
Yeah,
What?
we see them for 5 minutes, and then like
Listen,
Hermione just erases all trace of her ever existing, which is very sad, but also like it's very sad, but it's like the way you said it, it's like we finally get to see her home life. Yes, we get to experience her home life for about 2 minutes in the whole series, and then everybody forgets it ever existed.
I'm just saying, like I like character development. I like to know where they're coming from. Okay, like even like that 5 minutes was plenty.
So you ended up watching the Deathly Hallows Part 1?
I'm sorry.
So you watched the Deathly Hallows Part 1?
I did during this run.
Okay.
Apparently, there are differing opinions of when I could like stop. I think Teebs said it was after what 4.
If you had to, yeah, you could probably stop around 4 or 5.
But no, for the purposes of this podcast, I slogged through all 8 of them.
Was it a slog, really?
It was
A
because
slog, was
it was because I had to do it in 10 days.
That's a movie a day. When we worked at the video store, we watched 8 movies a day.
We were paid to do it. No, okay. So this movie, Sarah, I definitely felt like this was like the move to more like adulthood. Like I you put it in the notes, and it almost did kind of feel like college, where I'm just like, okay, now they're like adult wizards and they need like wizard 401ks and shit like that. Just like that was an
Wizard
interesting
mortgage.
wizard mortgages, paying bills and shit. We've seen all of these actors kind of grow into these roles. Like in Deathly Hallows, how did you feel as a book reader and a movie watcher, kind of knowing that this was going to be like the end and like there wasn't going to be any more like past this stage here?
I don't know, I was crying right as the logo went up. I remember I think midnight releases were still a thing. I was with my friends, and I don't know, it was the end of an era for me because, yeah, Harry Potter was one of the, I don't know, something that I did with my mom for bonding. It was something I did with a lot of my friends. It's how I made my current best friend now. And so, yeah, to me, it just, I wasn't, because at the time we didn't know we were going to have Cursed Child and Fantastic Beasts and all of the legacy, Hogwarts Legacy. I didn't know if any of that was actually going to come to fruition. And yeah, it was just like really, and I'm really happy that they separated the last book into 2. I think it really did it justice. Because the Deathly Hallows Part 1 got to be a little bit more character driven. Still extremely sad. Still moments of tragedy, especially when Hedwig dies. I was bawling. And like I knew it. The sad part was I knew every death when it was coming, but it didn't make it any less sad seeing it right there on screen. So yeah, that it was just it was hard. It was hard for me to watch it, honestly. But it was
And
good.
then part 2 was nothing but fireworks,
Oh
which
my
as
God,
Teebs
yeah.
which as Teebs knows, that's 100% my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's your bag. I'm sure that's your favorite.
That's my
one.
bag right there. I don't want to say Deathly Hallows Part 2 is my favorite of the Harry Potter series. My personal favorite is I want to say it's probably not Goblet. I think Order of the Phoenix is also my favorite of the 8.
Wow. See,
And not just
Order of the
because
Phoenix might be my least favorite.
not just because we
it's-
share a name. It's not just
It's
because of that.
Order and Chamber duking it out for last place.
Jesus. Now, some closing stuff here. Is there any doubt which death hits the hardest for everybody? For me, it's 100% Dumbledore. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I bawled like an infant when that happened the first time I saw it. Like, because I didn't know that shit was coming.
I think it's Snape for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Snape.
Snape is also.
I'm gonna
a good
go
one.
Snape.
It's a hard moment because Harry does not realize until Snape's like dying breaths that he cared about him this entire time. And that's, I mean, that it's hard because he watched a lot of people that he cared about died, but at least he had good moments with them. I think with Snape, he was just like he was taken aback. He was like, "Oh my God, you were on our side this whole time," and yeah, he saw
The
Snape's memories, and it just kind of it was hard because he just lost what ended up being kind of a second father to him. It matters of seconds.
you have your mother's eyes. Like that was kind
Yeah.
of that was a little bit of a heartstring puller there.
Did you guys know that Alan Rickman knew about Snape's backstory before anyone else did? Did you guys hear that? Have you?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Somehow that's not surprising to me because like it's Alan Rickman. Like, come on.
Yep. He talked to she who must not be named.
Ugh.
He talked to her and was just trying to get a little bit more background because he was just trying to figure out why Snape is such a dick to all these kids. Like one of those like, why do you work with kids if you hate them so much kind of
It's like
mentality.
what's my motivation for
Yeah,
working with all these
exactly.
kids if
And
I just ultimately fucking hate them anyway?
she took him aside and she told him everything that he used to be in love with Harry's mom and
Mhm.
was jealous of Harry's dad, but had to grow up and watch them get together anyways, and is now taking care of him. And it's just like I love that, and Alan Rickman's performance really it shows that like nuance. Once you watch them again,
Yep.
realizing that Alan Rickman knew stuff that most of the general populace did not realize, when he was filming these. So it's kind of cool. I like that. Rest
I
in peace, Alan Rickman.
I don't know who this would be a question more for, but are you looking forward to the HBO revival when that drops?
I still feel like these movies came out yesterday. That's how old I am.
Really?
So
Okay.
I am not ready for it. But whatever happens, happens. Like I don't know. Like I don't know that they could be better than the film series. And I guess the only thing that they could offer is way more depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I so for that standpoint, that's interesting. But I don't know. I just feel like I don't have a lot of faith in these big multinational corporations to pull stuff like this off. You
Who
saw what
does?
Amazon did with Lord of the Rings. It was
Oh my
not
God.
great. You saw what the Diz did with Star Wars. It's not
The
great.
Diz.
I'm a little concerned. I don't know who's shepherding this thing, so hopefully it turns out well. I really would like it, and
So I actually had the showrunner is actually Francesca Gardner, and she did Succession.
Hmm.
that's what a weird fit. What what a, what a weird fit.
I love that it's a woman though. That's awesome.
I
Go
love that
her.
it's a woman. Mark Mylod. I don't know if you know that
What
guy,
did you
but
call me?
no, Mark Mylod of Game of Thrones fame. Okay, so we have Succession people and Game of Thrones people working on the
Oh,
show.
so they're just pulling anybody from anything successful HBO is. You know what? Not a
Pretty
bad
much.
plan.
Not a bad plan.
Probably what I would have done.
And have either of you played the Hogwarts Legacy game? I have
I
not.
have not.
I love the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Okay, you'll have to break this down for us.
I rarely ever like. So I'm not a gamer. I should start out by saying that I play Animal Crossing. I've played Tetris. I play Monopoly Go on my phone, and then
Hey,
I played Hogwarts Legacy,
that still makes you a gamer.
and I
Like,
beat
that's
it in a
fine.
week.
Mhm.
You beat Hogwarts Legacy in a week?
In a week because it was the only thing I did during a Thanksgiving break. I sat
Okay.
there on my Nintendo Switch while my ex was visiting his family, and I literally sat on my bed. I ate. I played Hogwarts Legacy. I pet my dogs occasionally, and I kept playing Hogwarts Legacy, and that was my Thanksgiving break. And what I loved about it is the open world concept it's really fun. You do missions on your own time. You get to decorate things, which fed
Nice.
my little like Animal Crossing love. I don't know. It's a good game for any Harry Potter fans listening. If you're a fan and you have access to a gaming console that you can play it on, highly recommend.
And I'll ask this of Teebs, since he'll understand the parallel I'm trying to draw here. So you have David Yates, who is responsible for Harry Potter movies, from 2006 to 2011. So he has Order of the Phoenix on, but then he also has the 3 Fantastic Beast movies.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say now that David Yates is Mr. Harry Potter, similar to how Russell T. Davies is Mr. Doctor Who?
Nope.
No, not at all.
No, because like I said, the lift for Christopher Columbus to make this series work and listen, Hollywood is bestrewn with the remnants of franchises that they tried to make happen. Remember the Maze Runner?
Oh my God.
Remember the Percy Jackson film series?
Yeah.
It ain't easy to make this transition all the time. And the fact that he did it and did it so flawlessly, I think and the fact that everybody else is kind of building on what he laid down, I think makes him really the steward of the Harry Potter franchise.
So I'm kind of making the mistake of quantity over quality, essentially.
Listen,
Well,
no, sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I was just because he established this world. I mean, he's the one that cast all of the main actors, which in
True.
itself is incredible. Without the choices that were made, I mean, those actors were incredible, especially for child actors, which are very good. Child actors are hard to come by sometimes. So the fact that they shifted through, I think I wrote it. It was 5,000 people auditioned for Harry Potter.
Jesus.
Out of those 5,000, 300 were strongly considered, and out of those 300, they chose Daniel Radcliffe. And that's just one of the actors.
That's
I
just
mean,
one
Alan
role.
Rickman was spot on casting. Maggie Smith was spot on casting.
If there's something to be said about the Harry Potter movies, it's the simple fact that like casting is just
yes. And
chef's
so
kiss.
Christopher Columbus does get a lot of credit just for that. And actually, something that I learned when I was doing some research, they kept the same production designer throughout all of the films.
You would have to. You would have to keep
that.
it.
That made a huge difference in the continuity of the world. In fact, I actually read that pretty much She Who Must Not Be Named drew a very crude looking map that the production designer went off of for all 8 films.
Nice.
From the very beginning. So for 10 years, this guy was using the same. I actually shouldn't assume it's a guy. Actually, I'm going to Google who is the production designer Harry Potter. I'm Googling.
No, it's fine. We can vamp for a second because we're just
Stuart Craig. There we go.
Stuart Craig. I have to say this was an inspiring podcast. I'm not saying I'll go and watch Harry Potter again like I did, but maybe I'll put 1 or 2 on the airplane when I fly out to California for San Diego Comic-Con, which
what a pro this guy is. Look at that.
If you don't know, the Teebs and KidPhoenix podcast will be at San Diego Comic-Con. We have a panel on Friday, July 24th from 11 a.m. to noon at the Neil Morgan Auditorium at the San Diego Central Library. It is Teebs and KidPhoenix versus Tips for the Aging Nerd. It'll be myself and Teebs and Whoopi and Vince and Robert, and we'll just be hanging out.
Please don't call him Robert. That's
all right, fine. So come out if you have tickets. We'd love to see you and converse with you at the show before and after the panel. Just a reminder, Achilles coffee is for Teebs and for Teebs only, so don't fuck that up, because I would like Teebs to be in a good mood when he goes on stage, and if he is lacking Achilles coffee, that's just gonna
leave listen, go there after, just leave me some coffee, for Christ's sake. Don't drink up all the coffee.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great. And I will actually also be at the panel on Friday, July 23rd. So I am.
Wow, there we go.
Yes.
And what else do you have going on? Socials? Anything you're working on? Anything you're writing? Like now, this is your moment. Plug
thank
away.
you. Well, yeah, I am a writer, producer, performer. The best way to get in contact or stay in touch would be to follow my Instagram page, at the sweet Sarah D. And yes, that is Sarah with an H, the only right way to spell it.
Wow. My our aunt would disagree with that.
Yeah, she would.
But until next week, thank you, Sarah. Listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio podcast. That is correct. We are on iHeartRadio podcast as well. I did the task of shifting our entire RSS feed to Riverside, and they said, "Hey, would you like to be listed on iHeartRadio?" You bet your ass I would. So yeah.
I do heart radio.
iHeartRadio podcast, along with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're all there. We're also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, full video episodes.
We're on MySpace.
We're not
Look
on
for us on
MySpace.
LiveJournal.
We're not on LiveJournal. we are on Tumblr. No, we're not on Tumblr. Once again, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us and taking us through this magical journey through the wizarding world of Harry Potter. That is going to do it for us. We'll talk to everybody next week. Deuces, y'all.
Oh, I feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see